This is Rummy's Corner. Rummy's Corner. 18-year-old Mike Tyson made his professional boxing debut on March 6, 1985. His opponent was Hector Mercedes in a bout scheduled for 4 rounds. Tyson started aggressively but patiently, and about halfway through the opening round, Tyson hurt Mercedes and proceeded to land a vicious barrage of hooks, many of them thudding to the body. Mercedes succumbed to the assault and he retreated to one knee, and the match was waved off by the referee. It was a first-round technical knockout victory for Tyson. Kid Dynamite returned to action on April 10th in a scheduled 4-rounder against Trent Singleton. Tyson again came out and started with patient aggression, and just seconds into the bout, he landed a speedy combination that sent Singleton down. Singleton made it to his feet, and Tyson methodically stalked him and soon landed a left hook that sent Singleton down for the second time. He rose to his feet again, and moments later, Tyson dropped him for the third and final time before the ref had seen enough. It was another first-round technical knockout victory for Tyson. Tyson had his next fight on May 23rd. This time he faced a much more experienced boxer, Don Halpin. Tyson opened the bout jabbing. He was again fighting patiently before firing off a fierce combination. But Halpin was durable, so Tyson was content to box, and he was boxing very well. Tyson was showing more dimensions to his game with a more measured tactical approach. He was exhibiting elusive upper body movement, crisp punching technique, and he even switched to southpaw a few times where he was also fighting effectively. Tyson landed a big right hand that dropped Halpin hard in round 4. He rose to his feet, but Tyson pounced on his wounded prey, and he had him down again just seconds later. And the fight was over. It was a 4th-round knockout for Tyson. On June 20th, Tyson returned to action when he squared off against Rick Spain. This one was scheduled for 6 rounds. Tyson stormed out aggressively at the opening bell, and he began unloading with some fiery combinations. Spain managed to land a big shot on Tyson that was immediately countered. Spain went crashing down, and he rose to his feet, but Tyson immediately jumped on him and finished matters with a crushing left hook. It was another first-round technical knockout for Mike Tyson. A few weeks later, on July 11th, the now 19-year-old Tyson was back in action when he faced John Alderson in a scheduled 6-rounder. Tyson landed a big right hand in the opening seconds. The taller Alderson, who had an extensive amateur background, was trying to keep Tyson at the end of his jab. Alderson was trying to tie Tyson up when he got on the inside, and Tyson stalked patiently while landing some nice isolated shots. Tyson was also having success when assuming a southpaw stance, and he was seamlessly switching between the two. In round 2, Tyson stunned Alderson with a right hand to the body, quickly followed by one upstairs. Alderson survived the initial follow-up attacks, but he soon found himself on the canvas, compliments of another big right. He made it to his feet, but Tyson dropped him again in the closing seconds of the round. Alderson survived the round, but when he got to his corner, the ringside physician suggested that he just come back to fight another day. Alderson agreed. It was a 2nd-round stoppage victory for Kid Dynamite. After stopping Larry Sims in 3 rounds on July 19th, Tyson was back on August 15th when he squared off against Lorenzo Cannady. Tyson exploded out of his corner, landing a big right hand to start the fight. Seconds later, he dropped Cannady with a crisp left hook. Cannady made it to his feet, and he tried to grab onto Tyson in the midst of his follow-up attack. But Cannady couldn't hold Tyson off for very long, and an accurate combination sent Cannady down again, prompting referee Joe Cortez to call a halt to the contest. This was the 4th first-round stoppage for Tyson over his first 7 fights. Tyson's next bout was on September 5th, and this time his opponent was Michael Jack Johnson. At the opening bell, Kid Dynamite bulled his way in using elusive movement and controlled aggression. Tyson drilled Johnson with a left hook to the body that sent him slumping to the canvas. Johnson beat the count, and Tyson moved in, cool as an assassin, before unloading a menacing right hand that brought things to an end. Frank Cappuccino immediately waved it off, and Mike Tyson had scored another first-round stoppage with a brutal display of power. The following month, on October 9th, Tyson returned to the ring to square off against the master of disaster, Donnie Long. Long represented a step up in class for the young prospect. The fight started with Tyson displaying the same type of aggression that was becoming his trademark. Long was trying to keep Tyson at the end of his jab when Tyson leapt in with an explosive left hook that sent Long down. He made it up on unsteady legs, and Tyson jumped on his wounded foe with a barrage of punches, sending Long down again. Long made it to his feet, but not for long. Tyson dropped him for the third and final time with a double left hook. The fight was over, and it was another first-round stoppage victory for young Mike Tyson. Tyson returned to action on October 25th when he went up against Big Bob Calais. This was Tyson's first bout that was scheduled for 8 rounds. At the opening bell, Big Bob came out using the jab, and when Tyson tried to unload, Big Bob tied him up. But Calais couldn't hold Tyson off for long, and Tyson dropped him with a big left hook. The fight was over in just 37 seconds. It was another first-round knockout for Tyson, whose professional record now stood at a perfect 10-0 with 10 knockouts, and 7 of those knockouts coming in the first round. A week later, on November 1st, Tyson was back against Sterling Benjamin. Kid Dynamite once again exhibited good elusive movement, and he dropped Benjamin with a big left hand. Benjamin barely beat the count, and Tyson moved in for the finish with a vicious array of punches that sent Benjamin down again. It was yet another first-round victory for Tyson. 3 days later, on November 4th, Tyson's longtime trainer, mentor, and father figure, Constantine Customato, passed away at age 77. Tyson was back in action on November 13th when he squared off against Fast Eddie Richardson. Tyson came out bobbing and weaving, and he dropped Richardson with his first thrown punch, a walloping right hand. Richardson made it to his feet, and he tried to keep his distance out of range from Tyson's follow-up attacks, but he couldn't keep away for long, and Tyson soon dropped him again, this time with a big left hook. The fight was over, and it was another first-round knockout for Mike Tyson. 9 days later, on November 22nd, Tyson went up against Conroy Nelson. Tyson started this one with a bit more patience than usual, as Nelson was utilizing a high guard defense. So Tyson began working the body with a furious assault. Nelson hung in there, and he managed to do something Tyson's previous 6 opponents had failed to do. He made it through the first round. In round 2, however, Conroy left himself open out of position, and Tyson exploited this mistake and landed a sharp left hook that sent Nelson down. It was a second-round stoppage victory for Tyson. On December 6th, Tyson was back in action, this time against Sammy Scaff. This was Tyson's first scheduled 10-round contest. Tyson was trying to measure up his much larger opponent at the onset, and he found some early openings with his left hook. And that was the punch that would quickly bring this one to an end, as Tyson dropped Scaff to the canvas, and he secured himself another first-round stoppage victory. Tyson would fight once more to close out the year on December 27th. His opponent this time was Mark Young. Young stormed out aggressively, which had Tyson uncharacteristically on the defensive at the start. But Young's aggression was ineffective, and Tyson clipped him with a stinging right hand that sent Young down. The fight was over, and it was another first-round knockout for Mike Tyson. At the conclusion of 1985, these were the top 10 heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Michael Spinks was the recognized champion, and he was the reigning IBF champion. Pinklin Thomas was the reigning WBC champion, and Tony Tubbs held the WBA title. Meanwhile, Mike Tyson had a perfect record with 15 wins and 0 defeats. All 15 wins came by way of knockout, and 11 of those 15 wins came inside the first round. Tyson kicked off the new year 2 weeks later on January 11th when he faced David Jocko. Tyson started the fight with his usual patient aggression, looking for openings to strike. It didn't take Tyson long before he found one and landed a big left hook that floored Jocko. He beat the count, and he tried to survive, but Tyson soon followed up with another big left hook that sent Jocko down for the second time. Jocko beat the count again, and Tyson unleashed some vicious uppercuts. It was a gutsy effort from Jocko, but Tyson soon got to him again, dropping him for the third and final time with the 3 knockdown rule in effect. It was yet another first-round stoppage victory for Kid Dynamite. Tyson was back in the ring less than 2 weeks later on January 24th. This time, his opponent was Irish Michael Jamison. Irish Mike employed a strategy of jabbing, moving, and tying Tyson up whenever he got too close. Tyson was having some difficulty creating openings, and he began focusing a lot of his attention downstairs. But even when Tyson was landing, Jamison was proving to be more durable than any of Tyson's previous opponents. Jamison was here to fight, and Tyson continued focusing his attack on the body. Tyson was warned for a low blow in round 3, which mistakenly ended up only being a 2-minute round. Jamison was crafty, but he was clearly outgunned, and Tyson dropped him with a terrific combination in the 4th. Jamison made it to his feet and absorbed a great deal more punishment in that round. Jamison was actually the first Tyson opponent who made it to the end of round 4, but Tyson dropped him early in the 5th, and even though Jamison wanted to continue, referee Joe Cortez had seen enough. It was a 5th-round technical knockout for Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson had his first nationally televised bout on February 16th when he squared off against Jesse "Thunder" Ferguson. Tyson started the fight bobbing and weaving, and he opened up with a vicious body assault. He then landed a couple of wicked uppercuts for good measure, but Ferguson weathered the storm and even landed a nice uppercut of his own that appeared to gain Mike's respect. Ferguson started spending a great deal of time up against the ropes, and Tyson was focusing most of his energy on body shots, and only throwing upstairs whenever openings emerged. Ferguson tried to smother Tyson's work and counter whenever he could. At times, Ferguson chose to fight with Tyson on the inside where he had some success, but Tyson took his shots well and stayed the course. With about a minute left in round 5, Tyson landed a 3-punch combination that started with a left uppercut and ended with a right uppercut. Ferguson was down, and amazingly, he made it to his feet and absorbed a tremendous amount of punishment for the rest of the round. In round 6, Ferguson attempted to hold on for dear life, and after being warned, he appeared to be disqualified by referee Luis Rivera, but Rivera officially ruled it a technical knockout, stating after the bout that Ferguson's eyes looked glassy and incoherent. Iron Mike returned to action on March 10th. His opponent was Steve Zowski. Tyson started the fight working behind his jab. This set the tone for a more tactical approach from Tyson, who frequently worked the body while boxing in a patient style. Zowski battled bravely, and he was effective in spots, but he lacked the firepower to keep Tyson honest. Cool as an assassin, Tyson was working methodically and breaking Zowski down with frequent attacks downstairs. Zowski was absorbing a beating, and Tyson started opening up with some explosive uppercuts. In round 3, Tyson leapt in with a big left hook that sent Zowski to the canvas for the first time in his career. Referee Arthur McCanty counted Zowski out, and it was a third-round knockout victory for Tyson. On May 3rd, Mike Tyson returned to the ring and faced former world title challenger James "Quick" Tillis. It was Tyson's 20th bout as a professional. It was another tactical opening for Tyson, and it quickly became apparent that Tillis was going to utilize his footwork in order to try and maintain a safe fighting distance. Tillis also started finding his range with the jab, and he landed some quick, sneaky shots on Tyson, and he effectively tied him up on the inside. It was a strong opening round from Tillis. He would continue boxing well and doing a good job of tying Tyson up, but Tyson began making adjustments and timing Tillis a bit better. In round 3, Tyson opened up with a combination that appeared to have Tillis buzzed. But Quick Tillis was crafty, and he presented a challenge unlike anything Tyson had previously encountered. But Iron Mike remained poised, and he nailed Tillis with a left hand towards the end of the 4th that knocked him down. Tillis survived, and over the next few rounds, a pattern emerged where Tillis was having his moments, but Tyson was landing the better punches. At the end of the night, Tillis made a great account of himself, and he did what no other Tyson opponent had done before him. He lasted the 10-round distance, ending Mike Tyson's streak of 19 consecutive knockout victories. Tyson was awarded a unanimous decision victory, with 2 judges scoring the bout 6 rounds to 4, and the others scoring it 8 rounds to 2. Tyson was back in the ring on May 20th, and this time his opponent was Mitch "Blood" Green. Tyson started the fight boxing intelligently and looking to land power shots, and Green was looking to jab from the outside and smother Tyson's work on the inside. But Tyson was battling very well on the inside, and he was finding openings to inflict damage. Iron Mike was throwing a lot of nice real short shots on the inside, and he was doing a tremendous job attacking Green's body. For his part, Green battled bravely despite being badly overmatched. Round after round, Green kept trying, and he absorbed a great deal of punishment for his efforts. Green had one of his best stretches of success in round 8, but Tyson otherwise controlled the action throughout the contest. Green survived until the final bell, and it was a workmanlike effort from Tyson. It was a unanimous decision for Tyson on the cards, with 2 of the judges scoring the bout 9 rounds to 1, and the other judge having it 8 rounds to 2. On June 13th, Tyson returned to action when he squared off against Reggie Gross. Tyson began the fight boxing with his trademark patient aggression. Before long, Iron Mike was finding the mark with his power shots. Gross was attempting to keep Tyson at the end of his jab, but Tyson appeared a bit too elusive. With about a minute left in the opening round, Gross opened up on Tyson with a series of punches, many of which found the mark, and in the midst of his attack, Tyson clipped him with a perfectly timed left hook that floored Gross. He managed his way to his feet, but he was instantly overwhelmed by Tyson's follow-up attack. Gross again found his way to his feet, but referee Johnny Lobianco had seen enough. It was a first-round technical knockout for Tyson, and this was his first knockout in his last 3 outings. Tyson was back on June 28th, and this time he went up against William Hosea. Tyson started the fight jabbing, and it wasn't long before he began firing off some fierce combinations. With over a minute left in the opening round, Tyson exhibited an explosive display of power when he unleashed a prolonged attack that sent Hosea down. Hosea failed to beat the count, and it was a first-round knockout for Mike Tyson. A few weeks later, on July 11th, the now 20-year-old Tyson squared off against Lorenzo Boyd. Tyson started the bout in familiar form, and Boyd was trying to cope with Tyson's speed and movement. Iron Mike was patient in the opening round, using his jab and landing big shots both upstairs and down when opportunities surfaced. About halfway through round 2, Tyson landed a quick right to the body, immediately followed by another to the head, and down went Boyd. The fight was over. It was a terrific short combination with pinpoint accuracy that resulted in a second-round knockout for Mike Tyson. Tyson was back on July 26th. This time his opponent was Marvis Frazier, son of former heavyweight champion Joe Frazier. Tyson started fast, and he quickly had Frazier on the defensive. Tyson would land an explosive combination that started with some vicious uppercuts, and Frazier went down. Referee Joe Cortez started his count, but he didn't like what he saw, and he called the halt to the contest 30 seconds into the opening round. It was another stellar first-round technical knockout for Iron Mike, and it was another magnificent display of blinding speed and brilliant power. On August 17th, Tyson returned to the squared circle to face Jose Ribalta. Tyson charged forward to begin the match, and Ribalta tried to make use of his gargantuan size advantage. But Ribalta was having trouble keeping Tyson at range, and he grabbed on whenever he could whenever Tyson got inside. Tyson was looking to create opportunities to land power shots, and in round 2, he landed a familiar quick right to the body immediately followed by another right upstairs. Ribalta went down. He got up, and he started slugging it out with Tyson, and he didn't appear to be too badly hurt. Ribalta battled on, and despite being badly outgunned, he was absorbing everything Tyson threw his way. But Tyson was throwing and landing an awful lot, and Ribalta was receiving a great deal of punishment for his efforts. Tyson landed a clubbing left hook towards the end of round 8 that sent Ribalta down for the second time, but Jose made it to his feet, prolonging this rugged encounter. In the 10th and final round, Tyson drilled Ribalta with a monster left hook that had him down for the third time. Ribalta again made it to his feet, and when Tyson moved in for the finish, Rudy Battle had seen enough and called a halt to the action. It was a 10th round technical knockout victory for Mike Tyson. On September 6th, Tyson squared off against former WBC cruiserweight champion Alfonso Ratliff. This acted as a final tune-up bout for Tyson, who had recently signed to fight in the HBO title unification series. Tyson was scheduled to meet WBC champion Trevor Berbick later that fall, provided he could beat Ratliff. Ratliff began the fight trying to stay on the outside, with Tyson calmly looking to close the distance. Ratliff did a good job staying away in round 1, just looking to survive. But Tyson dropped Ratliff with a short left hook in round 2. Iron Mike's follow-up attack was ferocious, and Ratliff was in trouble. Ratliff would soon be dropped again, and the fight was over. It was a second-round technical knockout for Mike Tyson. On November 22nd, Mike Tyson challenged WBC heavyweight world champion Trevor Berbick. This was Tyson's first opportunity to compete in a heavyweight title fight, and he was coming off of his longest stretch of inactivity during his young career, 76 days. Tyson started with his typical patient aggression, and Berbick was looking to impose his will on the challenger early on. Towards the end of round 1, Tyson rocked the champion with a series of thudding power shots, and it was more of the same in round 2. Tyson's faster, crisper punches were finding the mark with pinpoint precision, and Tyson dropped Berbick with a series of shots. Berbick bounced to his feet quickly, and cool as an assassin, Tyson resumed boxing. Halfway through the second, Tyson rocked Berbick again. Moments later, Tyson dropped Berbick for the second time with a short combination. Berbick tried to get up too quickly, and he stumbled down twice again during the same knockdown. When Berbick finally gathered himself to his feet, referee Mills Lane had seen enough and called a halt to the action. It was a second-round technical knockout, and along with winning the WBC title, Iron Mike Tyson had just become the youngest heavyweight world champion in the rich history of professional boxing. At the conclusion of 1986, these were the top 10 heavyweights according to Ring magazine. Michael Spinks was the recognized ring champion, and he was the reigning IBF champion as well as the reigning lineal champion. James Bone Crusher Smith was the reigning WBA champion, and Iron Mike Tyson was the reigning WBC champion. On March 7th, WBC champion Mike Tyson squared off against WBA champion James Bone Crusher Smith in a heavyweight title unification bout. The winner was originally scheduled to take on IBF champion Michael Spinks, but Spinks vacated his IBF strap a month before the showdown. Early in the first round, Smith tried boxing with Tyson, but he was losing the exchanges. A pattern soon emerged where Smith was frequently grabbing Tyson and holding on whenever he got too close. At the end of the first round, the champions exchanged words, and Tyson was warned for hitting Smith. In round 2, referee Mills Lane deducted a point from Smith for excessive holding. This basic trend continued throughout the fight. Tyson was getting the best of the exchanges, and Smith was holding on to survive and prevent Tyson from attacking. Smith was deducted another point for excessive holding in round 8. The fight remained consistently uneventful the rest of the way up to the final bell of the 12-round contest. When the official cards were announced, Tyson was awarded a unanimous decision victory, with 2 judges scoring the bout 119-107, and the other judge scoring it 120-106. With the victory, Mike Tyson had just become the unified WBC WBA heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson returned to action on May 30th when he put his unified WBC WBA heavyweight championship on the line against former WBC heavyweight champion Pinklin Thomas. On the co-feature of the evening, Tony Tucker had just stopped Buster Douglas in round 10 to win the vacant IBF title. At the opening bell, Tyson charged out of the gate and immediately went on the attack. Pinklin was trying to box, but Tyson's explosive short combinations were finding their mark, and he was making frequent use of his left hook. Tyson had Pinklin hurt towards the end of the opening round. Thomas continued trying to box, but Tyson was consistently getting the best of the exchanges. Thomas started having a little more success when he was using lateral movement on the outside or fighting Tyson up close on the inside. Pinklin started jabbing better too, but Tyson was still landing the more telling shots. After round 5, Thomas had an issue with his glove that was tended to by his trainer, Angelo Dundee. After a brief delay, action resumed to start the 6th round, and about halfway through the round, Tyson buzzed Thomas with a mean left hook. Tyson immediately jumped on him and unleashed a prolonged flurry of shots, most of which found their target. Thomas was down, and he appeared hurt. He tried getting up as the count approached 10, but referee Carlos Padilla stopped the action. It was a 6th round technical knockout for Mike Tyson. With the victory, Tyson now had 2 successful title defenses. On August 1st, the now 21-year-old Tyson put his unified WBC WBA championship on the line against newly crowned IBF champion Tony Tucker. It was a heavyweight title unification bout for all the marbles. This was originally scheduled as a 15-rounder, but the day before, it was officially changed to a 12-round contest. The action started with both men boxing. Tucker was moving around on the outside, Tyson was pressing forward, and both men were trying to gauge the distance. Tucker had some success early on. He was working behind his jab, tying Tyson up on the inside, and using good lateral movement. All of this served to neutralize Tyson's attacks, while creating offensive opportunities for himself. It was a strong start for Tucker, and his tactics had Tyson looking a little confused. But after the first few rounds, Tyson began finding his rhythm, and he started jabbing well and landing power shots with greater regularity. Tucker's offensive activity began slowing down considerably, but he was still able to largely neutralize Tyson's attacks by staying away on the outside or grabbing hold on the inside. But Tyson was still boxing effectively and doing the better work throughout the 12-round contest. When the official cards were announced, Tyson was awarded a unanimous decision victory with scores of 119 to 111, 118 to 112, and 117 to 113. With the victory, Mike Tyson had just become the undisputed, unified WBC, WBA, IBF heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson was back in action on October 16th, and his undisputed heavyweight world championship was on the line against undefeated challenger Tyrell Biggs. Tyson started the fight in trademark fashion, and Biggs was looking to move laterally and work off the jab. And Biggs was jabbing well in round 1. But in round 2, Tyson offset that by using his own jab more. Tyson was using his jab effectively, and this started to create openings for bigger punches. Tyson began landing shots more frequently, and he took command of the action and began wearing Biggs down. Late in round 7, Tyson dropped Biggs with a tremendous left hand. Biggs beat the count, but Tyson was all over him, and Biggs was soon down again. Referee Tony Orlando had seen enough. The fight was over, and it was a 7th-round stoppage victory for Mike Tyson, who had now made 4 successful title defenses. At the conclusion of 1987, these were the top 10 heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Michael Spinks was still recognized as champion by Ring Magazine, and he was technically still the lineal champion, even though he no longer possessed a major world title. Meanwhile, Mike Tyson was the undisputed, unified WBC, WBA, IBF heavyweight champion of the world. On January 22nd, Mike Tyson put his undisputed heavyweight championship on the line against former longtime world champion, the Easton Assassin, Larry Holmes. At the opening bell, Tyson immediately went on the attack and Holmes grabbed on. Holmes was trying to get his jab going, but Tyson was closing the distance too quickly. Holmes was very defensive in his approach, and he tied Tyson up whenever he got on the inside. Larry was doing a great job neutralizing Tyson's offense, but in doing so, he produced little offense of his own. In round 3, things started shifting into more of a tactical affair, and the Easton Assassin started taking more chances. But Tyson was still more active and more effective. Larry came out up on his toes in round 4, and he began dancing around and firing off his jab. About halfway through the round, Tyson landed a solid 1-2 that dropped Holmes. Larry made it to his feet, but Tyson was all over him, and Holmes was down again. Holmes again made it to his feet, and he used every trick he could to survive and regain his composure. Tyson was landing some mean leather as Holmes was trying to survive, but Tyson was battering him mercilessly, and Holmes caught his glove in the rope in the midst of the onslaught. Holmes was down again, and the fight was over. Mike Tyson had just become the first and only boxer to stop the great Larry Holmes. It was a 4th-round technical knockout for Tyson, and this marked his 5th title defense. Iron Mike was back in action on March 21st, and his undisputed WBC, WBA, IBF heavyweight championship belts were on the line against former WBA champion Tony TNT Tubbs. Tyson started the bout very patiently, as he and Tubbs were both feeling things out. It was a tactical opening round that saw both fighters trying to establish their jabs. In round 2, Tubbs and Tyson began exchanging with much greater ferocity. Later in the round, Tyson hurt Tubbs with a familiar combination. Tubbs grabbed on, and when action resumed, the next left hook Tyson threw floored Tubbs. Tubbs was down, and he was out. The fight was over. It was a highlight reel second-round technical knockout for Tyson, and this brought his title defense total up to 6. On June 27th, Mike Tyson put his undisputed heavyweight championship on the line against undefeated lineal heavyweight champion Michael Spinks. Even though Spinks didn't technically hold a major world title, he had never lost his title in the ring, so he still had the legitimate lineal claim. This fight would settle matters beyond any shadow of a doubt. Tyson looked loose to kick things off, and he didn't waste any time before going on the attack. Iron Mike was firing off power shots and going right after Spinks. Before long, an uppercut followed by a body shot sent Spinks down. Spinks made it to his feet, but Tyson jumped on him with a quick right hand that had Spinks down again. And this time, Spinks would not beat the count. It was a first-round knockout, it was his 7th title defense, and now Mike Tyson was recognized as the lineal heavyweight champion, in addition to being undisputed among the 3 major sanctioning bodies. He was 3 days shy of his 22nd birthday. At the conclusion of 1988, these were the top 10 heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Iron Mike Tyson was the undisputed king of the division. He was the reigning undisputed WBC, WBA, IBF heavyweight champion. He was the lineal heavyweight champion, and he was also the recognized Ring Magazine heavyweight champion. Mike Tyson was the baddest man on the planet. Iron Mike returned to the squared circle on February 25th, and his undisputed heavyweight championship was on the line against number 1 ranked WBC contender, Frank Bruno. This was Tyson's first fight after replacing Kevin Rooney with new co-trainers Jay Bright and Aaron Snowell. Tyson stormed out and attacked Bruno, and soon had him down compliments of a right hand. Bruno got to his feet, and Tyson moved inside where the two began trading shots in close quarters. Bruno started holding, and he was warned a couple of times for holding and hitting. He was then deducted a point by referee Richard Steele for holding. But late in the round, Bruno staggered Tyson during an exchange, and he appeared to have Tyson hurt. But Tyson regained form, and he had Bruno badly shaken towards the end of round 2. But Bruno had the sense to grab on. Tyson continued doing the better work, and Bruno was frequently clinching to break up Tyson's attacks. In round 5, Tyson unleashed a savage assault, and he had Bruno hurt several times. Bruno did his best to hang in there, but he absorbed tremendous punishment, and another barrage from Tyson prompted Richard Steele to call a halt to the action. It was a 5th-round technical knockout for Iron Mike, and this victory represented his 8th successful title defense. 23-year-old Mike Tyson was back in action on July 21st, and this time his undisputed heavyweight championship was on the line against number 1 ranked IBF contender, Carl "The Truth" Williams. Both boxers started things tactically, and an early exchange broke out where the two traded shots. Williams was grabbing on when Tyson got in close, and otherwise looking to try and find a rhythm for his jab. But when things still appeared to be in a feeling out process, Tyson suddenly countered a Williams jab with a thudding left hook that dropped the challenger. Williams looked hurt and managed to make it up to his feet at the count of 9, but referee Randy Newman didn't like what he saw, and he stopped the fight. It was a first-round technical knockout for Iron Mike, and this marked his 9th consecutive title defense. At the conclusion of 1989, these were the top 10 heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Iron Mike Tyson was still the undisputed king of the division, He was the reigning, undisputed WBC, WBA, IBF, and lineal heavyweight champion. He was no longer, however, recognized as the ring champion because the publication had done away with their practice of listing divisional champions. On February 11th, Mike Tyson put his undisputed heavyweight championship on the line against James "Buster" Douglas. At the time, the number one rated contender for all three sanctioning bodies was Evander Holyfield, and he was next in line for a chance against Tyson. In fact, Tyson and Holyfield were scheduled to fight on June 18th, and Douglas was widely viewed as nothing more than a tune-up fight to that end. Tyson started the fight in familiar form, and right from the onset, Douglas seemed to have an awful lot of bounce in his step. Buster was being elusive, and he was showing a willingness to fight with Tyson. Before long, Douglas was finding a rhythm with his jab, and he was keeping Tyson off balance. Douglas was jabbing well on the outside and effectively tying Tyson up on the inside, and he was soon finding the mark with right hands and firing off some nice crisp combinations. This trend continued throughout the early rounds. Douglas was out-throwing, out-landing, and out-boxing Iron Mike. Douglas was dominating Tyson from the outside and smothering his work on the inside. It was brilliant execution from Douglas, and he was doing all the little things he needed to do when he needed to do them in order to best neutralize Tyson's tactics. A sense of panic began to grow in Tyson's corner, where the inexperience was on full display. In round 6, Tyson began landing some of his trademark power shots, but Douglas was still controlling the action and winning the battle of the distance. With just seconds remaining in round 8, Tyson unleashed a vicious uppercut that sent Douglas down. Douglas made it to his feet at the referee's count of 9, and the round was over. In round 9, Douglas amazingly showed no ill effects from the knockdown, and he was able to neutralize Tyson's aggression. Suddenly, Douglas went on the attack, and he seized command of the momentum. Douglas was firing away at Tyson, and Iron Mike appeared to be stunned. Douglas landed a booming uppercut in round 10, and this led to a sequence of shots that sent Tyson down. Tyson looked badly dazed and confused as he was grabbing around for his mouthpiece. Mike slowly rose to his feet, but by then he had just been counted out. The fight was over. It was a 10th round knockout for Buster Douglas in what to this day is arguably the greatest upset in the history of professional sports. Buster Douglas had just become the new, undisputed, unified WBC, WBA, IBF heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson's first fight after losing the championship was on June 16th when he squared off against Henry Tillman. Back in the amateurs, Tillman held 2 victories against Tyson. Tyson knocked Tillman down in the 1984 Olympic trials, but all 5 judges ultimately scored that one for Tillman. And then in the 1984 Olympic box-off a month later, Tillman won another decision against Tyson. Now they would fight in the professional ranks, where Tyson was working alongside new trainer Richie Giacchetti. Tyson charged in at the opening bell and Tillman was on the move. Tyson was patiently looking for openings, and near the end of the first round, Tyson drilled Tillman with a right hand that landed high on the head. Tillman went down, and he was counted out. It was a first-round knockout that got Tyson back into the winning column in style. 4 months later, on October 25th, Evander Holyfield defeated Buster Douglas to become the new, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. On December 8th, the now 24-year-old Tyson was back in action, and this time his opponent was Alex Stewart. Tyson stormed out at the opening bell, and he dropped Stewart almost immediately with a booming right hand. Stewart made it to his feet, and Tyson was a little wild during his follow-up, but a chopping right hand from Tyson sent Stewart down for the second time. Stewart again made it to his feet, and Tyson proceeded to drop him for a third and final time. It was another first-round stoppage victory for Iron Mike. At the conclusion of 1990, these were the top 10 heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Evander Real Deal Holyfield was the undisputed king of the division. He was the reigning undisputed WBC, WBA, IBF, and lineal heavyweight champion. Meanwhile, Mike Tyson was recognized as the second best heavyweight, and he was the universally recognized number one contender. Tyson returned to the ring on March 18th, and he squared off against Donovan Razor Ruddock. At this time, Tyson was ranked number one by all of the major sanctioning bodies, and they all had Ruddock as their number two ranked contender. This was an elimination bout. Tyson came out applying his customary pressure, and the first round turned into an action-packed tactical affair, where Tyson and Ruddock were both unleashing measured power shots with ill intentions. Round one ended with both boxers firing off shots after the bell. Early in round two, Tyson threw a left hook that Ruddock blocked, but the punch still knocked him down. Replays revealed that Ruddock had tripped over Tyson's foot. Ruddock beat the count and did not appear at all hurt. Action resumed, and the affair remained both scrappy and tactical, with Tyson landing the more damaging blows and with greater frequency. During the final seconds of round three, Ruddock was attacking effectively, but Tyson drilled him with a quick counter left and Ruddock went down. Ruddock made it to his feet, and the round was over. Over the next few rounds, Tyson continued doing the better work, and he was throwing and landing many more punches. Ruddock was landing a solid shot here and there, but he wasn't working enough on offense. In round 6, Ruddock started throwing more, and he had his best round to this point. A more confident Ruddock was fighting well into the 7th until Tyson opened up with a barrage of shots that were knocking Ruddock all around. Richard Steele jumped in, and he called a halt to the contest. Some havoc broke out inside the ring, and many observers considered the stoppage to be controversial. It was a 7th-round technical knockout for Tyson. Tyson was back in action just 2 days shy of his 25th birthday, on June 28th, when he had an immediate rematch with Razor Ruddock. Most observers viewed the ending of their first encounter to be premature, so there was considerable demand for the rematch. The winner was expected to face undisputed champion Evander Holyfield. In the opening round, things began tactically. Both boxers were looking to jab, and both were soon throwing some mean leather. They traded heavy shots, and the first round ended just like it did the last time, with both men still firing off shots after the bell. Tyson was warned for a low blow in round 2, and then he dropped Ruddock with an overhand right. Ruddock made it to his feet, and Tyson attacked him aggressively. Tyson was warned for another low blow later in that round. Ruddock eventually started fighting back more effectively, and he began landing more power shots. Ruddock was pressing the action in round 4 when a sharp counter right from Tyson sent him down for the second time. Tyson looked a bit fatigued when he tried to follow up, and Ruddock got himself a little break when he needed to replace his mouthpiece. Referee Mills Lane deducted a point from Tyson when he landed a punch after the bell to end round 4. There was a lot of infighting and inside maneuvering for position, as Tyson and Ruddock were both looking to create openings for big clubbing shots. Tyson was consistently winning this battle of tactics, and it wound up being a busy night for Mills Lane. He deducted a point from Ruddock for throwing a punch after the bell to end round 8. He deducted a second point from Tyson for a low blow in round 9, and he deducted a third point from Tyson for another low blow in the 10th. It was a brutal and grueling encounter for both boxers over the 12-round duration. When the official scores were announced, Tyson was awarded a unanimous decision victory, with scores of 113 to 109, 114 to 108, and 114 to 108. A deal was reached for November 8th, where Mike Tyson was scheduled to challenge undisputed heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. But Tyson suffered an injury during training camp and the fight was postponed. At the conclusion of 1991, these were the top 10 heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Evander Real Deal Holyfield was the undisputed king of the division. He was the reigning, undisputed, unified WBC, WBA, IBF, and lineal heavyweight champion. Mike Tyson was his universally recognized number one contender, but Tyson's future in the sport remained uncertain. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield were waiting on Tyson's trial before rescheduling their postponed contest. But on March 26, 1992, former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson received a 6-year prison sentence, which he began serving in April of that year. He spent more than 3 years in prison, and during his time away, the heavyweight landscape had changed dramatically. Mike Tyson made his long-awaited return to the squared circle on August 19, 1995. His opponent was Hurricane Peter McNeely, who was ranked number 7 by the WBA. McNeely tried to jump on Tyson with an early attack, but a quick counter from Mike sent McNeely down. McNeely jumped to his feet, and when action resumed, he went after Tyson again as the two began trading shots. Tyson looked rusty, and at times he was missing badly. But Tyson was still too fast and too strong for McNeely, who was soon on the canvas again. This time McNeely looked hurt, and even though he beat the count, his corner had seen enough and they jumped in the ring to stop the fight. Officially, it was a disqualification victory for Tyson, and it was his first victory in more than 4 years. On December 16th, Tyson was back in action and he squared off against undefeated contender Buster Mathis Jr. Mathis was ranked number 4 by the IBF at this time, and Tyson was ranked number 1 by the WBC and the WBA. Mathis fell down in the opening seconds of the fight, but once he got up, he tried bullying Tyson up against the ropes and looked to smother Tyson while attacking in close quarters. Tyson still looked rusty and his timing seemed off. Mathis was slipping a lot of shots and making Tyson miss. It was an intelligent strategy from Mathis, and he was effectively crowding Tyson and doing the better work on the inside. Tyson continued having difficulties until a series of uppercuts found the mark towards the end of round 3. Mathis went down, and he was unable to beat the count of referee Frank Cappuccino. It was a 3rd-round knockout for Iron Mike Tyson. At the conclusion of 1995, these were the top-rated heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Bruce Seldon was the reigning WBA champion. Frank Bruno was the reigning WBC champion. The IBF title was vacant, and George Foreman still had a rightful claim as the lineal heavyweight champion. Meanwhile, Iron Mike Tyson was back in the mix, making matters all the more interesting. On March 13th, Mike Tyson challenged WBC heavyweight world champion Frank Bruno. This rematch took place more than 7 years after their first encounter, and this time the roles were reversed with Tyson playing the role of the challenger. Tyson stormed out attacking at the opening bell, and right from the onset, he looked a lot sharper than he had since making his return. Bruno was looking to grab on when Tyson got on the inside, and Tyson was looking to find the range for his power. Bruno traded with him when he could, but Tyson was getting the best of the exchanges. This basic trend continued until early in round 3 when Tyson's explosive combination punching overwhelmed Bruno and sent him crashing down to the canvas. Referee Mills Lane had seen enough. It was a third-round technical knockout, and Iron Mike Tyson had just become the new WBC heavyweight champion of the world, making him a 2-time heavyweight champion in the process. When WBC champion Mike Tyson faced WBA champion Bruce Seldon on September 7th, it wasn't officially recognized as a unification bout. The WBC didn't sanction the bout, so only Seldon's WBA title was on the line. Tyson started fast, and he staggered Seldon early on when he snapped off a solid left hook. Seldon was trying to keep Tyson at the end of his jab, but before long, Seldon was knocked down. He rose to his feet, but Tyson knocked him down again. Seldon again made it to his feet, but he was wobbly, and referee Richard Steele called a halt to the action. It was a first-round TKO, and Mike Tyson had just become the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world. Shortly after, Tyson would relinquish his claim to the WBC crown rather than face their number 1 mandatory contender, Lennox Lewis. Instead, Tyson was looking in the direction of a fight that had been very long in the making. On November 9th, Tyson put his WBA championship on the line against former undisputed champion Evander Real Deal Holyfield. The fight was appropriately billed as Finally, a reference to the 3 prior occasions when would-be showdowns between Tyson and Holyfield were derailed. First, following Tyson's shocking upset loss at the hands of Buster Douglas, next because of a rib injury suffered by Tyson, and then again when Tyson was sentenced to prison. Tyson landed a big right out of the gate that staggered Holyfield, but Holyfield quickly regained his composure and weathered the storm. Holyfield soon made adjustments and was able to outthink Tyson. Holyfield was also having success outmuscling Tyson on the inside. Holyfield nailed Tyson with some nice shots in round 2, and Tyson landed some power shots sporadically, but Evander was taking them well. Tyson appeared to have Holyfield in some trouble during round 5, but the Real Deal persevered, and Tyson couldn't capitalize. Tyson was also doing well earlier in round 6, but Holyfield was battling, and he dropped Mike with a body shot later in the round. Tyson beat the count, and going forward, Holyfield was beating Tyson to the punch, bullying Tyson on the inside, and otherwise outboxing Tyson. Holyfield was in complete command of the rhythm of the fight. Towards the end of round 10, Holyfield unleashed a prolonged sequence of punches that had Tyson badly hurt and stumbling across the ring. Tyson made it to the end of the round, but he looked dazed. Holyfield resumed his attack in round 11, and the fight was ultimately stopped after a barrage of unanswered shots from Holyfield prompted referee Mitch Halpern to wave it off. Evander Holyfield had just become the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, giving him the distinction of becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion, a feat that had only been achieved previously by Muhammad Ali. At the conclusion of 1996, these were the top-rated heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Evander Holyfield was the reigning WBA champion. Michael Moore was the reigning IBF champion. The WBC title was vacant, and George Foreman was technically still the lineal heavyweight champion, even though it had been over a year since he held a major world title belt. Meanwhile, Iron Mike Tyson was ranked at number 3. Mike Tyson had an immediate rematch with WBA heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield on June 28th in order to try and regain the title belt he had just lost. Tyson began the rematch much more patiently, and Holyfield had a better idea of what to expect. Holyfield was outboxing Tyson in the early going, and the intensity level was high. Holyfield got the best of an explosive early exchange, and Tyson was having some trouble finding his rhythm. A clash of heads early in round 2 caused a cut around Tyson's right eye. When action resumed, Tyson remained ineffective, and Holyfield began bullying him around the ring. Tyson was trying, but Holyfield had an answer for everything he tried. The action began getting a little rough, and referee Mills Lane was doing what he could to maintain order. Tyson came out for round 3 having forgotten his mouthpiece, but Tyson attacked with increased intensity when the action got underway. Tyson was having a better round, but with under a minute left, Tyson bit Holyfield's ear when the two were in close quarters. Mills Lane called for a timeout, and then Tyson proceeded to shove Holyfield. Mills Lane deducted 2 points for Tyson for the infraction, and after a delay, action resumed, and it was intense. Suddenly, Tyson bit Holyfield again, but Mills Lane didn't see it, so the two fought on the final seconds of the round. Then in between rounds, Mills Lane disqualified Mike Tyson. The fight was over, and chaos ensued. It was a disqualification victory for Evander Holyfield, and as a result of his actions, Mike Tyson's boxing license was revoked by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and Tyson was fined $3 million. On October 18, 1998, the Nevada State Athletic Commission voted 4-1 on a measure that reinstated Mike Tyson's boxing license. Mike Tyson made his return on January 16th. His opponent was the White Buffalo, Francois Botha. Tyson got off to a slow start, looking to work his jab, and Botha was being elusive. Botha was making Tyson miss, and then Botha started landing some nice short combinations. Near the end of round 1, Tyson had grabbed a hold of Botha's arm, which briefly caused things to get a little out of hand before referee Richard Steele and several others could finally separate the two entangled boxers. When round 2 finally began, Botha proved to be too slippery for Tyson. Richard Steele penalized Tyson for an infraction in round 2, and Tyson looked extremely rusty on this night. Botha put forth a very spirited effort, and he clearly outboxed Tyson over the first 4 rounds. Tyson started getting into better punching range in round 5, but Botha was still effectively boxing with intelligent tactics. As the round was drawing to a close, Tyson landed a quick short bomb of a right hand that sent Botha crashing down. Botha was unable to beat the count, and Mike Tyson's comeback got off to a bizarre winning start with a 5th round knockout. Tyson was back in action on October 23rd. His opponent was former WBA cruiserweight champion Orlin Norris. Tyson started out of the gate patiently as he was looking to work the jab. Tyson soon became more aggressive, and he had Norris on the defensive. Just as the first round came to an end, Tyson landed a punch after the bell rang, and Norris went down. Referee Richard Steele deducted 2 points from Tyson for the infraction, but after being given extra time to recover, Norris remained on his stool and informed the ringside physician that he had injured his knee during the fall. As a result, the bout was officially declared a no contest. At the conclusion of 1999, these were the top-rated heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Lennox Lewis was the reigning WBC, WBA, IBF undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and for his part, Iron Mike Tyson was ranked number 6. Tyson was back on January 29th, and he made his European debut when he squared off against Julius Francis. Tyson started the bout aggressively, and Francis was trying to avoid Tyson's power. Tyson was a little wild with some of his punches, but he nailed Francis with a combo punctuated by a right uppercut, dropping Francis in the opening frame. Francis made it to his feet, and he tried to smother Tyson's work. But as the round came to a close, Tyson clipped him with a left that dropped him again. Francis got up to his feet, and the round was over. But Francis was simply outgunned in this one, and Tyson dropped him 3 more times in round 2 before the fight was finally waved off by referee Roy Francis. It was a second-round technical knockout for Iron Mike. On June 24th, Tyson was back, and this time his opponent was Lou Savarese. This bout was originally slated to take place in Italy that May, but it was postponed by Tyson so he could have more time to prepare. When the action got underway, Tyson dropped Savarese with the first left hook he threw. Savarese made it to his feet, and Tyson was immediately all over him. When referee John Coyle tried stepping between the two fighters, Tyson paid him no mind, and he continued attacking Lou. When Coyle finally got control, he called a halt to the contest, and Tyson was awarded a first-round technical knockout just 38 seconds into the contest. Mike Tyson was back inside the squared circle on October 20th when he went up against Andrew Galata. This represented a step up in class for Tyson since he'd come back from his suspension. Tyson started the bout in typical fashion as Galata began pawing around with his left hand. As Galata was looking to find a rhythm with his jab, Tyson was exhibiting good head movement while looking for openings. As round 1 was coming to a close, Tyson landed a short booming right that dropped Galata. Galata rose quickly, and the round was over. Tyson was in attack mode for the next round, and Galata started trading with him. Tyson landed some really good right hands, but Galata was taking them. After the second round, Galata informed his corner that he was not going to continue. The bout was originally ruled a technical knockout victory for Tyson, but a few months later, it was revealed that Tyson had tested positive for marijuana, and the verdict was officially changed to a no contest. At the conclusion of 2000, these were the top-rated heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Lennox Lewis was the reigning unified WBC IBF heavyweight champion of the world, and Evander Holyfield was the reigning WBA champion. Mike Tyson was ranked number 2 and was also recognized as the top contender by all major sanctioning bodies. After fighting 3 times the previous year, Tyson fought just once in 2001, and that bout came on October 13th against Brian Nielsen. Tyson weighed in at a career-high 239 3/4 pounds, and Nielsen tipped the scales at 259 3/4. Tyson started the fight at a torrential pace, launching a furious body assault on Nielsen. But Nielsen proved to be very durable, and he was able to absorb a lot of punishment. Tyson slowed down a good deal as the rounds moved along, and Nielsen was able to throw some punches of his own whenever he wasn't playing defense. But he was still frequently focused on defense, as Tyson became more measured in his attacks. Tyson dropped Nielsen with a nice combination towards the end of round 3. Nielsen made it to his feet, and just before the round ended, Tyson nailed Nielsen with an accidental low blow. When the fight resumed, Tyson continued dominating the action, and Nielsen continued absorbing tremendous punishment. When the bell rang to begin round 7, Nielsen remained on his stool and informed referee Steve Smoger that he did not wish to continue. It was a 6th-round stoppage victory for Iron Mike. At the conclusion of 2001, these were the top-rated heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Ring Magazine had reinstated its championship policy, and they recognized Lennox Lewis as their champion. Lewis was also the reigning unified WBC IBF champion. Meanwhile, John Ruiz was the reigning WBA champion, Vladimir Klitschko was the WBO champion, and Mike Tyson was headed towards a showdown with Lennox Lewis for heavyweight supremacy. On June 8th, Mike Tyson challenged unified WBC IBF heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis. As the result of an incident that occurred during a press conference leading up to the fight, a wall of security guards separated the two boxers as they entered the ring and were being introduced. Tyson opened the bout with good movement and he was looking to work his way inside. Tyson started sharp, but Lewis stopped him in his tracks with an uppercut that gained Mike's respect. Lewis frequently grabbed on whenever Tyson got inside. Tyson landed a decent left hook, and Lewis started finding the range with his jab towards the end of round 1. Tyson continued trying to work his way inside, but Lewis was beginning to really find a rhythm with his jab. Referee Eddie Cotton warned Lewis twice for holding in round 2, but Lewis continued jabbing well and he was trying to mix in some uppercuts. Tyson was landing a shot here and there, but he was usually only throwing one punch at a time, and Lewis was controlling the action with his jab and landing some really big right hands. Lewis landed a big right towards the end of round 4, and he pushed Tyson down, prompting referee Eddie Cotton to deduct a point from Lennox. Lewis continued dominating the action, and Tyson was absorbing a lot of punishment. Lewis landed a huge uppercut in round 8 that scored an official knockdown. Tyson continued fighting, but he appeared hurt and fatigued. Lewis jumped on him, and he landed a series of booming shots before dropping Tyson for the second time in the round. This time, Tyson would be counted out. It was an 8th round knockout for Lennox Lewis. At the conclusion of 2002, these were the top-rated heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. Lennox Lewis was recognized as the ring champion, and he was also the reigning WBC champion. Chris Bird was the reigning IBF champion, John Ruiz was the reigning WBA champion, and Vladimir Klitschko was the reigning WBO champion. Meanwhile, Mike Tyson was viewed as the number 9 contender, and he was looking to rebound his career. Tyson returned to action on February 22nd, and he squared off against the Black Rhino, Clifford Etienne. This fight started with some early fireworks, and Etienne wound up crashing down on top of Tyson in the midst of their scrap. Action resumed, and the two continued fiercely trading punches. Before long, Tyson nailed Etienne with a crushing right hand. Etienne was down, and he would not be able to beat the count. The fight was over, and despite being well past his best, Tyson was still able to showcase his incredible punching power. It was a first-round knockout for Mike Tyson. At the conclusion of 2003, Lewis was still recognized as Ring Magazine's champion, and he was still the reigning WBC champion. Mike Tyson was viewed as the number 10 contender, and his long stretches of inactivity were having a negative impact on his standing. Tyson returned to the squared circle on July 30th, and this time his opponent was Danny Williams. At this point in time, Tyson was 38 years old and he hadn't fought in over 17 months. Tyson was looking to attack Williams' body in the early going, and about halfway through the opening round, Tyson staggered Williams with some good power shots. Tyson continued clubbing away, but Williams remained on his feet. With about 30 seconds left in the opening round, Tyson stumbled. He had injured his left knee. But Tyson continued swinging away, and Williams made it out of the round. Tyson continued battling on, and Williams started becoming more competitive, but he was still absorbing a lot of big shots. There were some fiery, heated exchanges between the two boxers. In round 3, referee Dennis Alford deducted 2 points from Williams for separate infractions. Towards the end of round 4, Williams opened up with a prolonged flurry that had Tyson in some trouble, and Williams sent Tyson to the canvas. Tyson was counted out just before reaching his feet, and the fight was over. It was a 4th round technical knockout for Danny Williams. At the conclusion of 2004, these were the top-rated heavyweights according to Ring Magazine. For the first time since his first year as a pro, Mike Tyson was not included in Ring's annual heavyweight rankings during a year in which he competed professionally. Less than 2 weeks shy of his 39th birthday, Mike Tyson was back in the ring on June 11th when he squared off against Kevin McBride. This was just Tyson's third fight in over 3 years since losing against Lennox Lewis. McBride started the fight pumping out his jab, and he was looking to hold Tyson when the two were in close. Tyson's timing looked poor, and he was having some difficulty gauging the distance. On the inside, McBride was utilizing his size advantage, and he was leaning all of his weight on Mike when the two were in close quarters. Tyson was having a difficult time. In round 6, Joe Cortez warned Tyson for grabbing onto McBride's arm, and moments later, Cortez deducted 2 points from Tyson for an intentional headbutt. As the 6th round was ending, McBride pushed Tyson down, and Mike looked discouraged. He was slow to get up to his feet, and moments later, Tyson retired on his stool. The fight was over. Through 6 rounds, Tyson led 57-55 on 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards. It was a 6th round technical knockout for Kevin McBride. Following the fight, Mike Tyson announced his retirement from professional boxing. Looking back at the long and illustrious career of Iron Mike Tyson, he was undeniably one of the most exciting boxers to ever step inside the squared circle during the rich history of professional boxing. You can even make a very strong case that Tyson is the most exciting boxer of all time. He may not have been the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, but when Tyson was at his very best, during his prime years in the late 80s, I think he would have been an extremely difficult fight for any heavyweight who ever laced up the gloves. Thanks for all the memories, Mike, and thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and have a great night, everyone.